When you think of a character with a massive ego in the MCU, you would most likely think of Tony Stark, but to me, I picture someone else. Dr. Stephen Strange, the shaky hand, portal slinging aura farmer who always stands on business. Both Tony and Stephen have very similar character arcs, learning to put aside their hubris to become a hero. But I believe Stephen's journey has higher highs and lower lows. So stick with me as I revisit Strange's MCU history while analysing the character, and go over some of his fights that cement him as the GOAT.
If it comes to saving you, or the kid, or the time stone, I will not hesitate to let either of you die.
Arrogance and fear still keep you from learning the simplest and most significant lesson of all. It's not about you.
Try me, Beyonce.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
You'll find our will equal to yours.
What is your job exactly besides making balloon animals?
Protecting your reality, douchebag.
You might think Stephen's story starts with his movie, but no, we have to go back to Captain America: The Winter Soldier has its villainous group planning on eliminating any potential threats, and we are given a list of examples.
Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, anyone who's a threat to Hydra.
My boy has so much aura that he's known as a threat before learning any kind of magic. At this point, he's simply a neurosurgeon. This mention sets us up for we are first introduced to Stephen doing a surgery, focusing on his precious hands. And at the same time, he also demonstrates a great knowledge of music. A random detail that will never come up again. Probably should be focusing more on the unconscious person on your bench, Stephen, instead of telling us your favorite Drake song. He is very good at what he does, which leads to a lot of confidence, and he weaponizes that confidence to one-up a fellow doctor and impress fine shit Christine. Sleeper baddie in the MCU in my opinion. They aren't together anymore, but there still is some tension there. This is important for later. Strange has this habit of only picking patients that would bring him the most attention, and doesn't bother with untreatable patients, which sets up his mindset going forward, only focusing on himself, and is pessimistic to the point where he won't even try if he thinks it's impossible. This mindset and arrogance leads him to believe he's the only one who should be in control. And out of nowhere, he gets into a car accident that ruins his hands and destroys his career. He has no one else to blame but himself, since he was in the driver's seat, in control. It's an almost cruel twist of fate. The only part of him that is damaged the most is his hands. He catches wind of a place to heal himself, and travels to Kamor-Taj, and begins his training after a bit of hesitation. Stephen is a realist who does not believe in spiritual or mystical things, so has a hard time believing in the mystic arts, and this affects his practice. A little aspect of the character that makes sense and I really enjoy is that since Stephen is a quick learner, he advances quickly because of his years of study and practicing medicine. After a trial by fire, or snow, Stephen takes his first step in character development and releases that control a tiny bit. He performs his first mystical feat, but it doesn't stop him from being completely enveloped to the arts, as he prefers to teach himself everything instead of listening to lessons, but whatever gets the job done, I guess.
Try me, Beyonce.
Stephen is often seen with his broken watch, which acts as a reminder of his accident that led him on this path, and the love he lost. Stephen's rebellious nature takes over as he goes into the Forbidden Books and uses the Time Stone for the very first time. This is significant because it takes a lot more time and practice to do whatever Strange did on his first try, hinting that it might have been his fate to become a sorcerer. We also get another random little nugget of lore, with Stephen apparently having a photographic memory.
I've got a photographic memory, that's how I got my MD and PhD at the same time.
Bro is building a resume quicker than the recently unemployed. For some context, the homeboy Wong tells us what the sorcerer's purpose is. To protect the world from dimensional threats, blah blah blah. And after hearing about this, Stephen is firmly out, still only wanting to heal his hands, showing that he's still on this path of selfishness. But rot-row Raggy, the villain of the film is here, so the two start to squabble. Strange immediately turns on the jets and books it out of there, while Caecilius fucks with the architecture, making me think those edibles kicked in. But now my guy poses up, trying to aura farm but failing miserably. I have faith though, until, oh hell no! They think they're Spider-Man or something, and Stephen gets rolled immediately. He gets one hit off before getting toyed with. This is so sad. Caecilius flips the whole ass hallway on its side. And if I saw this, it's GG's. Good game, you won. But Strange finally uses that PhD he keeps yapping about, and Fly kicks a goon through a magic door. And they are said flying. Stephen squares up again with the boss. And you know what? My goat is putting in some work, even this week. He is thrown through some glass and kicked over the railing, but the cape saves him. And together they start aura farming, for real this time. Yo, the drip is complete. Still not enough to take him out, with the cloak literally carrying Strange to the dub, using some weird kinky armor. In the post-fight interview with the bad guy, Stephen is sucker stabbed by a goon, and I hate this goon in particular. First of all, foul move on his part. That's a yellow card. And then he starts walking down Stephen while he is crawling away. But then his dumbass lets the fabric stop him. The curtain holds off this guy long enough for our boy to escape and get treated by fine shit. Now I love my king Stephen, but his dumb R left the portal open so the ops can just come through and get the jump on him. Why? Maybe because he was busy getting stabbed, I guess. Well, his biggest op comes to jump him again, and the two ghosts get to sparring. It's mostly just the two throwing themselves around until Strange fucking explodes the henchie with assist from fine shit Christine. Find myself a girl who shocks me like that. Right after murdering a man, Strange once again has to show off the fit and gain a little bit more aura. Fast forward and Stephen's teacher gets absolutely folded by gravity. Strange is fully ready to do the surgery himself, but his hands are still shaky, and hands off the knife to his fellow doctor, symbolizing his progress and giving up control. Strange and the Ancient One have a great heart-to-heart, and as a turning point for his character, he finally understands how to heal his hands, and could get his life back, but decides to keep fighting and serve something bigger than himself. He needs to stop focusing on the past, his old life, and needs to look forward and do something not for himself, but for the world. This is why I love Doctor Strange as a character. His ego is massive at the start of the film, and he gets humbled so much for it. The rise back up and the slow fading of that ego is what makes him so enjoyable to watch. Him letting go of that control he desperately needs is a satisfying arc for him. I do wish we could have known why he needs that control in this movie, but we do find that out a little later on. Nothing that big happens character-wise in the fight with the Zealots or Dormammu. It is clever of Strange to put himself and Dormammu in a time loop, basically sacrificing himself over and over again for the Earth. We don't have to wait long to see my goat again, because he makes a cameo in...
Oh, yeah, right.
I have been falling for 30 minutes!
Can you guess the first thing Doctor Strange does? Yeah, aura farming. Again, this guy doesn't miss. He's taking his new job very seriously, as he's taken Loki and wants to know why he and Thor are here. They discuss over a beer, but I'm sorry, why is Strange wearing yellow gloves? I get because it's a comic book thing, but this is the first and only time he wears them. After hearing Thor out, Strange agrees to help him find Odin, and starts rage baiting a little. He does the job and sends the brothers off. I miss when little cameos like this had relevance in the story. There isn't much to talk about in terms of Strange's character, but it's cool seeing him more in his element with better control of his craft.
I think you'll find our will equal to yours. Our?
Infinity War is a very big movie with a lot of characters, but Doctor Strange gets a good amount of screen time, so let's go through his scenes. Strange is the one to usher in the title card after Bruce crashes into the Sanctum Sanctorum. He then pulls up on the OG GOAT, cock-blocking him, so they can discuss superhero business. Tony and Steven have so many scenes here, clashing a lot,
as these two probably have the biggest egos in the MCU. With the threat of Thanos collecting the Infinity Stones, you think the best thing to do would be to destroy the Time Stone. Bow bow! Strange refuses to destroy the Time Stone, as it's their oath to protect it, and Stephen even says this.
You might want to put that time stone in your back pocket, Doc!
You might want to use it.
What's funny about this is that he never actually uses it against Thanos or in the movie in general. Shit starts hitting the fan outside, and Strange clears the wind, then winks at Tony. He does like to show off. Time for his first battle of the movie. Him and Wong do a little combo on Squidward, but he gets pinned against a wall on some kinky stuff. Voldemort can't get the stone thanks to a spell placed on the eye. And you know my boy was proud of that ruse. And then he's tied up again. What's this guy's problem? No matter, since the real goat swoops Stephen away. I think we gotta give some props to the cloak, kinda carrying. Even he is thwarted, and Strange is kidnapped. My guy was kind of done dirty in this first fight, but trust me, he makes up for it. Stephen wakes up surrounded by needles, described to be used for microsurgery, which is a big load of irony considering Strange's old career. After Tony and Peter save him, the two children's arrogance really clash, both having different plans and goals. Strange is fully willing to let Tony and Peter get slimed if it means protecting the Time Stone and the universe, and I just love him for this.
If it comes to saving you, or the kid, or the time stone, I will not hesitate to let either of you die.
My goat is really that stubborn and kind of ruthless, and I'm all here for it. Strange then saves everyone from dying in a spaceship crash, but before they can appreciate being alive, they get jumped by the Guardians. He doesn't do anything, just poses. But he does do something useful when he has a time seizure, looking into 14 million possible futures. A really overpowered ability that he does only once since the stones are destroyed by next movie. He tells the group that they only win once in those possible futures, which is an important detail if you didn't know. Thanos arrives to take the time stone with Strange slightly aura farming. I say slightly because he kinda just talks to Thanos, strikes his favorite stance, and shit hits the fan. Strange is acting as support, helping the others by portaling them around, and the blanket helps too. Ho ho! Time for Doctor Strange's best fight in the MCU so far. The 1v1 against Thanos himself. Strange does not hesitate and tries frying Thanos, but bro has hops and dodges with ease, firing a blast from the Power Stone. Strange counters with a portal to the mirror dimension and launches that shit. Thanos breaks it, but I don't think you fully understand how GG's this would have been. I would put money that if this worked, the whole movie would be over. I believe Thanos would have no way out. Maybe the Space Stone could have teleported him out, but I feel like that wouldn't really work. He's in a different dimension and all. Anyway, Big T shatters that attack and morphs it into a... Is that a black hole? Are you serious? This guy's nuts. And you know what my goat does? He turns a mini black hole into butterflies. That's right! That's right! Even had Thanos shook. He follows this up by hitting every gang sign he can think of and duplicates himself to tie Thanos up. Must have learned a thing or two from Squidward. Thanos finds the real Strange, brings him close for a kiss, and that's a wrap. My man was cooking, but never used that time stone everyone's fighting over. The clever bastard hid it. Skipping Iron Man's fight, bro was about to be finished off, but Stephen steps in and forks over the stone for Tony's life. And if you remember, Strange said he would never do this, so you know he has a plan. And the last we see of Strange is him being dusted away, leaving Tony with a few last words.
There was no other way.
I think Doctor Strange peaked in this movie in terms of strength and badassness. Later appearances never have this level of aura or amount of screen time for Strange, but he does return in.
Is that everyone?
But you wanted more?
The big Strange joins the movie when everyone is brought back. For the rest of the film, Strange doesn't do that much of note. Tony asks if this is the one future where they win, with Stephen not telling him until later on, when he gives him the finger. Not that finger. He is also at Tony's funeral, showing a great respect for the man even after everything. Bit hard to hate the man who saved everyone. It saddens me that Stephen didn't get any standout moments in this big finale, like many other characters did, but we still have many more appearances to cover, like his animated counterpart in...
I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
This story isn't tied to the main universe Steven that we have been following, but this variant of Strange might be a little bit more interesting. The difference between the two doctors is that this Steven lost Christine instead of damaging his hands. He goes down the same path, heading to Kamotage, learning magic, and defeating Dormammu. I like to mention that Steven seems to pick up magic a lot quicker than his Sacred Timeline self, since his hands weren't destroyed. Shows that mental block Strange had in that first movie. The loss of Christine devastates him way more, so he is unable to move on, and uses the Time Stone to try and save Fine Shit. What's tragic about this Strange is that he fails over and over again, digging himself a deeper, deeper hole, and torturing himself. No matter what he does, Christine is meant to die, because it's a canon event. It's what set this Strange on his journey. In spite of that fact, Steven spends centuries absorbing creatures and gaining more power to break the canon event. Centuries? Steven, that pearl cannot be that good. For a little bit of context for future scenes, the Ancient One split this universe's Strange into two possible futures. The one we've been following, who refuses to move past Christine, and one who chooses to stop living in the past. We get a neat little battle with the two Strangers, and this character works so much better in animation. The fight scenes can go a lot more bonkers than live action. The other Strange is absorbed, and now he has the power to fulfill his goal. He succeeded, but meddling with the universe has officially broken it. Strange realizes his mistake, but loses Christine again, and is left sad and alone. Supreme Strange has a fantastic character arc, and is downright tragic, spending centuries of his life to this cause, despite everyone's warnings, demonstrates the heavy effect grief can have on a person. This also pushes Steven's need to fix everything to its limit, showing us the path main universe Steven could have gone down if the circumstances were a little different. It was only the universe collapsing that made him see the error of his ways. If his story ended here, I would have been happy, but he appears a few more times in What If. He helps the Guardians of the Multiverse defeat Infinity Ultron, where bro really carries. He's a lot more chipper than the depressive state he was left in. He gives everyone a protection spell that does some work, and just all around plays assist, like he did in Infinity War. So he's back on that superhero life, right? Nah, because next season, he is the season's final big bad. He starts by trying to recruit Captain Carter, since they were chill before, but was manipulating her the whole time. He's been collecting universal threats from other universes to resurrect his own, and of course, bring back Christine. He's fallen back into old habits, which I believe is a metaphor for how grief is never fully gone and can show up again. Supreme Strange gets this cool demon form that is a manifestation of his grief, literally consuming him. He later finds himself thrown into his machine, with Strange holding back his grief enough to take himself out. He did successfully recreate the universe, but made it so he was never born. This Strange has his arc complete after wrestling with his demons, literally. He managed to finally overcome his grief, and did manage to bring Christine back at the cost of his life, once again giving up that control. The story of this tragic man was equal parts complex and satisfying. He doesn't accept that Christine is gone. It was only because he physically couldn't do anything else, which stopped him. So when he had the chance to bring her back, he jumped right back to it. He doesn't learn his lesson immediately because his grief wouldn't allow it. This was a very heavy story with its themes. So let's check back in on what the main universe Strange is doing in...
Don't do this. Ow.
For some context, Peter's life has been going down the toilet as of late. His secret identity is revealed. People hate this man now for some reason, and he just got denied from his dream school. Shit is not going his way. So who does he turn for help? That's right, the big doctor himself. These two are homies if you forgot. Fighting a giant purple man in space will do that to some. So this should go well. Big P walks into the sanctum, being presented with this winter wonderland. Shit, I get it. Those hot days, a dinky little fan ain't doing nothing. Strange makes his entrance by almost eating the snow, and I won't lie, the aura loss is a little crazy. Nothing loses you more aura than falling over, except for what we find out in this scene. Since Steven was one of the victims of the blip, Wong became the Sorcerer Supreme in his absence, and now outranks him. The Librarian is the greatest sorcerer. I still think Strange could fold him, but it doesn't matter. The two boys start vibing, and I enjoy the dynamic these two have. If Tony was Peter's father figure, Stephen is like the uncle. Peter wants Strange to go back in time and make it so his secret wasn't unveiled. But my guy can't do that without the time stone, but comes up with a better plan. He's just gonna make everyone on Earth forget Peter is Spider-Man. Genius. Wong tells him not to perform the forgetting spell, but my goat gets to it anyway. Peter starts whining about the people who are close to him forgetting as well, so Strange edits the spell with the changes. Bro, if this was me, I would not let this crying 16-year-old talk this much shit. It's either happening or not, little bro. The changes prove to be too much, and shit starts hitting the fan. Strange contains the spell, and scolds him a little bit, as he should. Peter's kind of a dumbass in this movie, and he talks back? Nuh-uh. I also think Stephen is a little bit harsh on him, when the spell was his idea, and he went through with those changes in the first place. Skipping ahead a little bit, and Peter is portaled to Strange's dungeon, and he mansplains what's going on. The failed spell started bringing Spider-Man villains from other movies here, and Strange got beat up by the Lizard? The Lizard? The most useless villain in this film? Went toe-to-toe with Thanos. Barely beats Gecko Man. Strange upgrades Peter's drip, and sends Bro out to capture the villains. Fast forward again to after the fetch quest, now Strange is ready to send the villains home, using this cool-out box, banishing them to their deaths. Spoilers for literally all them Spider-Man movies, I guess. No one really fucks with that plan, except Steven, talking about some in the grand scheme of things, which sounds a lot like another Strange we just met. Look, I get where he's coming from. If he doesn't send them and reverse the spell, everyone who knows Spider-Man throughout the multiverse will come here, and probably destroy this universe. Dr. Stephen Strange is a no-nonsense person, and took an oath as a sorcerer to protect this reality. Peter's goody two-shoe ass snatches the box and hits the jets, leading to one of the most unbalanced fights in the MCU. Strange knocks Peter's mind out of his body for an easy grab, but this guy is the main character, so swims back in there and continues booking it. The towel assists with throwing Peter into the mirror dimension, where Steven starts bending everything, and hits Peter with a literal train. Oh my lord, aren't y'all fighting over a box? God damn! Strange is just showing off now, fumbling the win. He has the box in hand, but Peter gets the upper hand by using math. Went toe-to-toe with Thanos, but loses to a math textbook. Strange is trapped in the mirror dimension without his sling ring. He should have zero way of getting back, but Ned gives him the assist he needs. He's surprised to see Peter's plan working, and gives Ned props for his portaling. When he gets the box back, Steven is fucking exploded, and the spell is set free. My goat tries his best to contain it once more, but isn't strong enough. Peter suggests casting a new spell to make everyone forget about Peter Parker, which would fix all this. Shit, that's a 10 out of 10 plan. Surely Strange is all for that saving the universe stuff. But wait, my goat hesitates. He doesn't want to forget Nephew, but respects Peter's will to put everyone else above himself. This is why these two characters work so well together. Steven spent his whole movie learning to stop making everything about himself and do the right thing for others. This lesson is tested with this grander scope, but now this kid is wanting to put the multiverse above himself. There's a part of Steven who doesn't want to perform the spell, because he likes the little guy, but puts Peter's choice above his own and casts that shit. Peter showed him that everyone is worth saving, no matter if it amounts to nothing in the grand scheme of the multiverse. And this is a perfect segue to Strange's sequel movie.
Climbs walls, shoots webs.
Yeah, bingo.
Out of his butt?
No. Oh. Well, maybe, I don't know. Honestly, I hope not.
Since the multiverse is fully in play, we open the movie with a Steven variant, on the run with new character America Chavez. The spaghetti monster is after America's power. To keep Noodles from getting whatever power she has, Strange decides to betray her and suck her powers for himself. I want you to hear what Bro's justification is for this heinous action.
You can't control it, but I can.
What are you gonna do with it? Can't have shit wherever this is. Bro is killing America. Yeah, killing her. And you know what Bro says?
But in the grand calculus of the multiverse.
Here we go again with this grand calculus shit. Guess he didn't account for the grand calculus of karma, because this dickhead gets absolutely obliterated by the Noodle Man. Pretty deserved, I can't lie. This little opening scene explains what this whole movie will be about, and some light retreading of some character growth. Chavez opens a portal with herself and Dickhead Strange being sucked through, returning us to the right version of the character. My guy has got that shit on. as he pulls up to a wedding and is pressed by that doctor he humbled in the first movie. He slaps Strange in the face with this line.
But you still didn't get the girl.
That's when we find out we're at fine shit Christine's wedding. Nah, they got my boy in the cuck chair? And you can tell my goat is heartbroken. Christine comes over, and Strange literally compares himself to Jesus with this one action. I do the same shit as well, I can't lie. He starts talking about some I wish things were different, blah blah blah. She reminds him why they wouldn't work out, talking about how Steven always wanted to hold the knife, symbolizing the if you want something done right, do it yourself mentality he has. He takes it like a champ, but before any more cucking can take place, it's showtime. Holy shit, that was cool as fuck! I know I've been glazing the shit out of this character's aura, but look at him! He peeps a monster trying to get America, and shuts that shit down real quick, slicing a bus in half, and posing up. Wong appears, with Steven still refusing to acknowledge his Sorcerer Supreme rank. And I'm with bro on this. That promotion was a technicality. These two are some of the most powerful sorcerers, but are struggling with this Vilgax wannabe. Steven does end up poking its eye out! Fuck man, I'm not even gonna show it, cause it's kind of nasty. America explains that she can travel between universes, and talks about a demon sending these creatures. She then shows them the remains of that other Strange, which is an important detail to remember. They put together that both monsters have runes on them, which is a sign of witchcraft, so Steven pays a visit to Wanda Maximoff. They get to yapping, but Wanda slips up and reveals that she knows America's name, but Blood did not mention her name, and the jig is up. Wanda was the one sending those monsters, and becomes the main villain of the movie. I'll keep it a stack. Steven is kind of fucked here. Wanda is way more powerful than Strange, which you will see soon. Still would though. She wants America, and you can see clear as day, my boy has piss in his pants. Now Wanda is at Comotage, and Steven traps her in the mirror dimension. 4th time he has done this strat, and the 4th time it has not worked. It's on site with Steven, but Wanda is unaffected. My boy gets dogged, and tackles America through a portal. We pull up to this universe's version of the Sanctum, being greeted by Mordo. The boys have some tea, as Mordo explains the concept of dreamwalking. Let me mansplain real quick, because this is important. Dreamwalking is a spell in the Evil Book of Spells that allows the user to control other variants of themselves. Oh nah, Steven got roofied. He wakes up in a cage with some fuck-ass bracelets, restricting his powers. And fine shit Christine? Baddie across the multiverse, I guess. 838 Strange didn't bag Christine either. And this highlights a hilarious fact about Steven. He is bitchless in every universe. The core fundamentals of the character never allow him to be with Christine, no matter how hard he tries. Strange is put on trial, and the legend Charles Xavier gives us some insight on 838 Strange. This variant used the Darkhold to dreamwalk, killing a universe in the process. He was a little too far gone, so these guys slimed him out. I love how they use alternate Strangers to make their point about how far he'll go if he had the chance. Every Steven would do whatever it takes to achieve their goal, no matter the cost. Strange rage baits Mordo into combat, so he can escape, and that shit works. Mordo launches at him, but Strange absolutely weaves that shit, and blocks a few strikes to uncouple one of the bands. That's a 100 IQ play. He slaps that on Mordo, so they both only have straight hands. They tumble around, and I won't lie, this fight is a little shit. Both these sorcerers can't use their main form of combat, and their hand-to-hand game is off. Strange has had enough of this, so uses Mordo to vault up and escape. Nah, that was kinda disrespectful. The squad meets up, and uses the classic method of booking it. Bit of a shame how my boy can't do anything, so has to act like a little bitch the whole film. They make it to this special book they need, but Wanda pulls up, grabs America, and uses her to send Strange and Christine to some random universe. We meet another Strange, and we finally get some backstory and explanation of Steven's need to do everything himself. He had a sister who died in a frozen lake. He failed to save her, with this event probably being the reason he became a surgeon in the first place. To save lives to make up for the one he couldn't save. His goal did get a little skewed the more fame and ego he got, but the motivation was there deep down. Dark Strange wields the Darkhold, and our Strange needs that shit. Ew, Steven, kill this guy.
Stephen uses the Darkhold, even though he has seen the effect it has on people, to dreamwalk in that dead Strange from the start of the movie. Again, this reinforces that Strange will do whatever it takes and make the hard calls to save the day. Zombie Strange gets jumped by Souls for doing this forbidden shit, and thanks to Fine Shit, he comes out on top, using the damn Souls as a cape. Are you seeing this shit? This is the definition of aura, goddammit! He uses the Souls to contain Wanda and is faced with a choice. Take America's power or everyone dies. Normally, this would be a no-brainer for Stephen, for the grand calculus of the multiverse and all that, but he chooses to have faith in America to control it herself and completely hands over the knife to her. And this pays off when America subdues Wanda by herself. Stephen tries to rizz up Christine again and drops this cringe-ass line.
I love you. I love you in every universe.
The movie ends with Stephen bowing to Wong, fixing that broken watch, which I like to think is him fully moving on from Christine, since she got him this watch in the first place. Finally bookending his character arc, but judging by the post-credits scene, we'll see him again in the future. I have to note that a variant of Strange appears in your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but he doesn't do a lot of note, and there's not a lot to talk about. Dr. Stephen Strange was dealt a terrible hand at the start of his journey, but through his strong will and stubbornness, he managed to rise into being one of the most powerful sorcerers ever. He wasn't without his flaws, however. He was arrogant, egotistical, and self-serving, pushing many people away. He believed he should have been the one to be in control, make the tough decisions, because he knew the only hands he could trust was his own. Through many trials and losses, he learned to let go of these traits and tried developing into a better man who's happy with what he has and not what he could have had. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I want to make a lot more of these videos, so if you have any character suggestions in the MCU, or just characters in fiction in general, let me know. I might make a video on them.